This is the Celebrity Afterlife Report podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Celebrity Afterlife Report for the week of April 28, 2014. I am the Celebrity Medium. As always, we've got a lot of gossip for the next world to report, so let's get right to it. As their generations of fans know, in hundreds of short films, the Three Stooges feuded and battled with each other. Of course, that was all for comedy. In the afterlife, the Stooges are at each other's throats yet again. However, this time, it's for real. According to my source for this story, Mo Howard and Larry Fine have been planning on starring in a new series of Stooges shorts, and the plan is to use Mo's brother Curly as the third partner. Now, this has angered Mo's other brother Shemp, as well as Curly Joe DeRita and Joe Besser, all of whom had runs as the third Stooge after the original Curly transitioned to the next world. I'm told that each of the three have made his case that he should be the third Stooge to Mo, who is very insistent that the new Three Stooges films should feature the original trio. This has resulted in some very hard feelings on the part of the others, who are threatening to make their own competing movies. My informant says that Larry Fine has been trying to play the diplomat by suggesting compromises to all parties, but that he's having no success so far. We'll keep an eye on this story as it develops. Baseball Hall of Famer Phil Rizzuto was a bit of a chatty Cathy when he was on the earthly plane, but the same can't be said about the scooter in the afterlife. Sources tell me that the former shortstop has taken a vow of silence and adopted the look of a Buddhist monk. Now, as I explained on last week's report, there is no such thing as organized religion in the next world, so I'm not sure that Rizzuto is literally trying to be a monk, but apparently that's what he looks like to those who have seen him in his robes and with his shaven head. At first, some of his friends thought that Phil was playing a joke on them, but over time they've come to realize that he's deadly serious about his silence. I'm told that another former Yankees star, Babe Ruth, was somewhat miffed that Rizzuto refused to respond after the Bambino greeted him warmly when they encountered each other on the street. Ruth apparently hadn't heard about Phil's new lifestyle, and he walked away from the meeting, shaking his head in confusion. Next, we have a follow-up to a story from a few weeks ago about Ernest Borgnine and Ethel Merman. Although they got divorced on the earthly plane after only 33 days of marriage, to the surprise of everyone in the afterlife, they agreed to co-star in a production of the Neil Simon play The Odd Couple. According to my source, several of their friends have been quietly predicting that the show would dissolve into chaos. Well, the first few weeks of the show went without any problems, but tensions between Ernie and Ethel are starting to surface. At one recent performance, Ernie flubbed a line, and Ethel was visibly miffed, causing the audience to giggle nervously. Ever the professional, she recovered quickly, but I'm told the two had a heated exchange backstage after the curtain calls. Now, this thing is starting to sound like a train wreck in progress, and we will keep you informed as things progress. Former President Richard Nixon and actor-comedian Jackie Gleason were good friends when both were on the earthly plane. For decades, a story has been making the rounds about Nixon paying a visit to Jackie's Miami home and taking him to a nearby Air Force base where the president showed him the preserved corpses of aliens. It's said that Gleason was so shaken by the sight that he was unable to sleep for weeks afterwards. According to my Next World paparazzi sources, the two have continued their friendship beyond the grave. In fact, they recently opened a UFO bookstore together. I'm told they take turns working in the shop, which features thousands of different titles about alien life forms. Now, hearing about this raised an interesting question in my mind, so I asked my source if there are any non-earthly beings in the afterlife. I was told that, to his knowledge, there aren't any. Now, whether or not that means that there isn't life on other planets, I can't really say for sure. Lastly, we have a story about famous pop artist Andy Warhol. Best known on the earthly plane for his paintings of mundane objects like Campbell's soup cans, Warhol has put his paintbrushes and silk screens aside for a new passion. A source close to Warhol tells me he has ditched the visual arts for singing. Andy has been taking lessons and is specializing in performing the work of the Gershwin brothers. Much to the surprise of his friends, he has become very accomplished, and he plays to full houses everywhere he appears. That is going to do it for this week's Celebrity Afterlife Report podcast. I am this celebrity medium, and I invite you to join me again next week for more of the juiciest gossip about all your favorite deceased stars. Thanks for listening.
You've been listening to the Celebrity Afterlife Report podcast. To ask a question about your favorite deceased celebrity, call 818-3-MY-DREAM. 818-3-MY-DREAM. 818-369-3732.